you can kill me, and the only thing that happens is that everyone else that holding the same token benefits from me dying, somewhat depending on how much value I put into the whole economic pie. I mean, you can't kill all Bitcoiners and make Bitcoin infinitely valuable, but you get my point still. That's the thing that intrigued me in the first place. Here's something that cannot be copied. Holy shit, that means that human beings are now more incentivized to collaborate than to be dicks to one another. And if we all did, we wouldn't have taxes, we wouldn't have inflation. Inflation is the problem that Bitcoin solves. And if we remove inflation, we remove most of the aggression, because inflation is a breach of contract between the central bank and the population. A monetary bill ought to be a receipt for a specific amount of gold. That's what it was in the beginning, and that's what it ought to be today too. There's no fiat currency in the world that's redeemable for gold anymore. So it's all fraud. And this is the problem Bitcoin fixes. It separates money and state. It's beautiful because it stops war. And anything you do to anyone telling you that, oh, that's just romanticism or pleb slop, is missing the whole point. I want Bitcoin to win because it's the tool that removes aggression. But my end goal is removing aggression. I want people to be nicer to one another. Bitcoin is just a tool to get there. And there is no way that you're going to convince me that any shitcoin is ever going to replace that hope. If you go to hope.com, by the way, you can bring it up on screen, right? Oh, yes. This is I'm having echo here. I'll see if I can remove it. Anyway, so hope.com is Strategy's Bitcoin site. If you go to resources, you can see here the latest book is The Treasury of Michael Saylor, which is Anil's latest book. Much recommended. Then you have classics like The Bitcoin Standard, Lynn Alden's Fantastic Broken Money, and then there's an Andrea Antonopoulos book. It's not mastering Ethereum. And it's not even mastering Bitcoin or mastering the Lightning Network. This is a collection of essays that Andreas wrote. It's basically his talks turned into a book. If you scroll to the right there, there's sovereignty through mathematics. So mastering Ethereum is not there. Sovereignty through mathematics is. And if you go on and further to the right, you find some more Austrian literature. So if you go even further, you find economics in Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. You find Hayek, you find Holtzman, and you find Hoppe, and all of these anarcho-capitalists. And there's a reason that those books are there. It's because these ideas is what Bitcoin allows for these ideas to actually come into fruition, for anarcho-capitalism to manifest in the world. People now have a tool to emancipate themselves from the shackles of all the assholes that want to control them and live their own lives on their own terms. That's what I'm here for. That's the revolution I want to promote. That's why I like Bitcoin. And if you want to call that pleb slop, go ahead. This is my end goal, living life on my own terms. And I wish I wish that for as many people as possible, because ultimately that's what defends the state. Amen.
I love that, and I think it always brings back the thing, like the main fundamental that we have to come back. There's so much noise always going on, but we have to remind ourselves why we're here and what we are doing. I have a almost embarrassing question. I hear that word so often in debates and also especially on Twitter, slop, and maybe I'm not native English, but I actually have no clue what slop really means. And now there's like deaf slop and pleb slop.
The slop is basically garbage or sludge, like some waste, like you're basically word salad, not worth paying attention to. And this comes from the developer community, and they somewhat rightly think that a lot of us pleb sloppers are just word salad mongers, and we don't actually understand how the system works, which as I said, on some level that is true. But it's also true that a lot of developers do not understand human incentives, and they do not understand money. They do not understand what money is, or what money ought to be, or the non-aggression principle, which is like, without any of this, Bitcoin doesn't work. So at the end of the day, Bitcoin is not backed by energy. It's not a database backed by energy. It's money backed by human action. And we need to defend it as such. That's its original purpose. And as soon as it changes trajectory, the whole thing goes to shit. Like Ethereum, you can't build other shit on. The only point of something that cannot be copied on the internet is money. It's a way for human beings to show gratitude to one another in a very specific way, so that we can, whenever someone gives us a good or a service, we have a perfect tool to represent our appreciation for that, by having something that is as finite as our days here on this earth. So the finiteness of a human lifetime is perfectly represented by the finiteness of the 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. That's why this thing is beautiful. That's what we're here for. Saying that it's censorship resistant is the most important thing, and that means that you can use it for anything, is missing the point. It's censorship resistant money. It's money that cannot be confiscated from you and that you can send to anyone without permission. It's not for data. It's not for anything but this. And yeah, there is other shit on it, and people are using it for other use cases. This is an exploit. It's a bug. It's not what it was intended for. And either we fight it or we don't. Some devs say it's pointless to fight against it. Others say that we can fight against it. It's up to you and me to do our research on whether one side is right or not. But the core of the mission, ending inflation, ending central banking, and thereby ending aggression at some point 400 years into the future, that is still here. That doesn't go away. Bitcoin is money. End of story.
Why do you think that many OGs actually like go down at some point the shitcoin rabbit hole? There's like very few that are long into Bitcoin and very hard on Bitcoin only. Like I think Max Kaiser, you, Cypherdine, as like you cannot even name that many that are known.
No, very good question, and I think there are plenty reasons. First of all, like you have the first. I think there's first of all, I think there's a linear relationship between disagreeableness and how early you were to Bitcoin. So the earliest Bitcoiners were very disagreeable, and somehow they managed to collaborate to such an extent that we got this don't trust verify layer in society now that allows us, for ironically enough, it allows us to trust one another more. I trust hardcore Bitcoin maxis more than I trust anyone else on any other category of people on earth, because I know that they are not very trusting of others, because I know that they have this don't trust verify attitude. So that's the irony of that thing. Then I think that a lot of people in the beginning, they thought that they became rich and wealthy because they were so smarty. Roger Ver, for instance, he thought Bitcoin was such a success because it was a great medium of exchange over space. And when the block size wars happened, he doubled down on that and said, I did it once with Bitcoin, I'm going to do it again with Bitcoin Cash. That's an actual quote from Roger Ver. And he thought that the medium exchange thing was much more important than the Bitcoin not changing and scarcity staying the most important thing. Like the cost of running a node should remain low, therefore we couldn't increase the block size too much. Roger Ver was against that, and he tried to do the same with Bitcoin Cash as he did with Bitcoin. Turns out his story was wrong. A lot of other, Vitalik, for instance, wanted to build Ethereum on Bitcoin first. Other developers said, no, this is not a good idea. Go do your own thing. So he created Ethereum, 70% pre-mine, then the DAO hack, and they reverted the entire chain and just pretended that didn't happen, thereby proving they were centralized. And they just rugged everyone. Ethereum had its peak in 2017. It got up to barely half of that in 2021 in Bitcoin terms, which is always, you should always denominate this shit in sats and not in dollars. So it's a long, slow rug pull of everyone, and always a scam from beginning to end. The thing that was different about this scam is that because of all the word salad, they managed to fool quite clever people that this had any legitimacy to it. A lot of buzzwords, a lot of dev talk, dev slop, I'd say. But in the end, at the end of the day, Ethereum is now on a proof of stake system, which is provably centralized. And it's shit. It's always been shit. Sorry, guys. So either what you learn from that lesson is, okay, I was wrong. The maxis were right. I should go Bitcoin only. I now understand the flaws of my ways, and they were right, and I'm humbled. Everyone who did that is better off today because the maxis were right all along. We also have this category of very techie people that are that may or may not have been Bitcoin only, but they used up all their stack because they didn't believe that Bitcoin number could go up forever. So they squandered their stacks, and in order to or just fiddle around too much with it, with multi-sigs and coin joins and whatnot. I had a Bitcoiner friend like 5 years ago who asked me, like, I gave my mother 0.02 Bitcoin on a blockchain.info wallet on her phone. And I myself consider myself a security expert, and I did multi-sigs and blah, blah, blah. Who do you think has most of their Bitcoins left, me or my mother? And of course, it's the mother, because she just simply didn't do anything with it. And that's the most advisable thing. So I think a lot of these tech-interested people simply lost their Bitcoins. Maybe they fucked something up. Maybe they fiddled around and fucked around and found out, and now they have less Bitcoin. And in order to stay relevant, they need to scream loudly about this and that. They need to say stuff on the internet, and they need to defend this and that shitcoin or this and that shitcoining policy, because they don't have a stack left anymore. While the question was why there are so many of that shitcoin. The question should rather be why are you few who actually still defend Bitcoin and are still maxis? Why are you visible at all? And we shouldn't be. It's probably stupid for me to be a public person and claiming I'm a Bitcoin maxi, because everyone's going to suspect I'm shit rich. I'm not, by the way. And either way, hardly even I know how to get to my Bitcoin. So don't try anything stupid. But most maxis, I think, and most actual defenders of Bitcoin that run their nodes and do their homework, they are very quiet, and you never hear from them. You never hear about them. So the ones that are on this traveling circus called the Bitcoin conference gauntlet, us idiots are something else. And my mission is to defend all of these anonymous people that sit at home and just want their stack to not change. They want Bitcoin to not change, and they're right. By the way, Bitcoin can never ossify. That is a fallacy. Since it's backed by human action, nothing backed by human action can ever ossify. We can change our minds. The Soviet Union fell at one point. So while it's unlikely that the more time that passes, the more unlikely it is for Bitcoin to change to a large degree, because you need such an overwhelming consensus, and more people run nodes all the time. However, there is no way of knowing if it has ever ossified. In other words, you cannot ossify. The ideal scenario is where it only changes if everyone agrees that the change is good, meaning that we define what's good by if Bitcoin changed or not, meaning that Bitcoin can theoretically only change for the better, which is great. I don't believe we're there yet, but I believe that's the trajectory this is going in. Somewhat depending on the outcome of this current war and what happens with it. Yeah, we'll see.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks, or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro-seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro-seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. You get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.